Hello guys, welcome to our course Python for Data Analysis. In this section, we'll be talking about Lambda functions in Python. And we'll explore Lambda functions, which is also known as anonymous function. And it allows us to create small inline functions without the need for a formal function definition. So we don't need to define the function when using a Lambda function. So let's get started. But before we do, you know what to do. Like the video, put your question in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel.
9 to 5 data.
Lambda functions are small anonymous functions defined using the Lambda keyword, and they are used for short, simple operations where defining a formal function is unnecessary or overly verbose. Lambda functions are particularly useful when we need to pass a simple functions in an argument to another functions, or we want to use them in a situation where a named function will be too cumbersome. So let's open our Jupyter notebook and take some examples of Lambda function. So let's say we want to define a Lambda function to square a number. So define a Lambda function to square a number. So we write the name of the function without the defined keyword, say square, and we assign the Lambda function. That's the Lambda keyword, and x, which is the variable we want to take. Now this Lambda function is taking a single variable, and what is the block of code or the statement we want to execute? So we want to get the square of the variable, which is x asterisk asterisk 2, and we run this. So now we can test the function. So we can print, just say square, the name of the function, and like I told you, this function is only taking one single variable, so we'll put 5, and now we should get a value of 25. So we have value of 25, so that is how to use the Lambda function. So now let's try another one that takes in two variables, and now we want to do something that would get us the sum of two numbers. So getting the sum of two numbers will do the same thing as, let's say we want to call it add. We assign it to add, and you use our Lambda keyword, Lambda, and now we want to take in two variables. So let's say x and y, x comma y column, followed by the block of code we want to execute. So we want this Lambda function to get us the sum of two numbers. So to do that, we just say x plus y, and then we run that. So once we run that, we can now print the name of the function which has been assigned to add variable, and then now we know this is taking two arguments, two variables. So let's say we do 3, 5, we should get 8. So that is 8. That is our Lambda function. So another important thing we need to understand is that Lambda functions are often used with higher order functions like map, filters, and sorted to perform operations on sequence of data. So let's take an example. Let's say we have a list of numbers. So we want to square all the numbers using map and Lambda functions. So let's define the list of numbers. Let's say numbers equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So what we want to do now is that we want to use Lambda function with map function to square each element in this list. So let's save this to a variable. Let's say squared number equals to. So we want to use the map function, map, and we know the map function will take a block of code and then followed by the iterable element. So now the block of code in itself will be the lambda function, and we know the lambda function, we want to square the element in the list. So that means we are taking each element and squaring them. So will be the lambda function that's going to take in one single argument. So lambda x followed by x asterisk 2, and then our iterable element will be numbers. So then we can print the list of this number, because like I told you, to get the output of a map function you have to convert it to a list. So list squared number and when we run this, we should get the output of 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, and 5 square is 25. So that is how to use it with a map function. So we can also use it with a filter function, and to do that we do the same way we have been using filter. We know filter also follow the same syntax as map. So we put our filter functions followed by the block of code and the iterable. So let's say we want to get out the even numbers from our list of numbers. So we can say filter followed by, we build a lambda function to get a even number, and we know to get even number out of this list of numbers, even numbers are numbers that are divisible by 2 without a remainder. So we'll build our lambda function, lambda x and x modulus 2 if it's equals 0. So that means the number is even number. So the iterable element is followed numbers, and we can save this into a variable and say even numbers. Then let's print even numbers, because we have to also convert this to a list. So print list even numbers. So we get 2, 4, 2 and 4. Those are the even numbers in our list. So in this lesson we use the lambda functions to get the square of a number, and also we use lambda functions to sum 2 numbers, and we use lambda function with the map function to square a list of numbers, and we also use the filter functions with the lambda functions to filter out even numbers from a list of numbers. Now that we have covered the basics of lambda functions in Python, in the next video we will also explore other topics that are essential to us in Python programming. So don't forget to like this video, put your question in the comment section, and subscribe to the channel. Happy coding.